Let's get to it. Welcome, friends, to another episode of Ben's MicroVision podcast, a podcast for general information and entertainment purposes only, not a financial advice podcast. There's a lot of stuff going on in automotive, industrial, and defense, so we're going to take a look around the dial here and see what we can find. If you're new, my name's Ben. I was MicroVision's global product manager for wearable displays between 2006 and 2011, and I'm continuing on my quest to bring you the very best MicroVision-related information that I can. If you would, please do go ahead and subscribe to the channel, and I'll continue to bring my level best effort every single week. So every Saturday morning, you'll have a new episode, and we can all learn and grow together. All right, let's get into it. Welcome again, everybody, to Ben's MicroVision Podcast, episode 21, titled Rise of the Robots, presented by myself and brought to you by LaserRoasted.com, my specialty coffee company. 1 cup and you'll say, make mine laser roasted. Okay, what you see here is a disclaimer. Disclaimers intended to help you understand that even though I used to work for MicroVision, I no longer do. So I'm not representing them, and they don't endorse necessarily anything that I'm saying. All information is as reliable as I can manage it, but in the event that mistakes are made, there's a possibility there. Okay, last week we spent a good bit of time talking about Aptiv and learning about their ADAS approach to market, which involves modular sensor combinations whereby cameras, radars, and lidars can be fused together into a single stream with a centralized compute node that Aptiv provides as part of their offering. What we did not talk about was that Aptiv plans itself to split into 2 companies. One company, which will be New Aptiv, basically is totally focused on the active safety, user experience, smart vehicle compute and software, as well as Wind River, which does intelligent edge computing, and a new separate company would be spun out that does electrical distribution systems, providing low and high voltage signal, power, and data distribution solutions. So cords and cables and harnesses and things of that nature. Why do we care that Aptiv is spinning itself out into a new Aptiv that's totally focused on active safety and user experience, and electrical distribution system company that provides harnesses and cables and cords? Well, I don't know exactly, but what I do know is Glenn, who's the CEO of MicroVision, used to be the boss of the Active Safety and User Experience Group. Active Safety and User Experience Group is obviously the most important part of the company, since that's going to be the new standalone Aptiv, and the harnesses and cables is going to be, put over as a separate entity. The guy running Active Safety and User Experience today is Matthew Cole, who was a MicroVision consultant type worker for some period of time between his previous gig and his new gig leading this group. So the group itself, Active Safety and User Experience, generates somewhere on the order of $5 billion in revenue. Their goal is to, of course, grow that. And I think probably part of the reason why they're doing this spin-off is to enable themselves to attack more verticals than just automotive. Let's look again at that slide real quick. In the bottom left-hand corner, we see the note serving diverse end markets, including aerospace and defense, telecommunications, automotive, commercial vehicle, industrials. So that may resonate with MicroVision's latest approach to market, which includes aerospace and defense, industrial segment, and includes, of course, automotive. So if you're spinning yourself out as a new company, advanced safety and user experience, and you're all about this modular solution of full sensor to cloud tech stack, note that they include sensor in the very definition of the company, you may be interested in the world's smallest, lowest power, lowest weight, lowest cost LiDAR sensing technologies that could be serving aerospace, defense, automotive, and industrial. All right, so going back to this chart that I showed last week, we see Aptiv here at number 6 in global ADAS revenues, according to my information. And there's ZF at number 3. ZF, of course, is headquartered in Germany. They've had a long-standing relationship, partial ownership of Ibeo. They had manufactured the Ibeo sensors and continue to manufacture the now MicroVision sensors, the MVIS and L, on behalf of MicroVision. Another thing that's interesting is Valeo, of course, here number 2 on the list, licensed Ibeo's technology to produce their own LiDAR sensor, which had gone into production on various vehicles. So on one hand, you've got Aptiv trying to come out as this new company. It's got this relationship with MicroVision through its management, or former management, and former leadership, which was Glenn, and there's also Jada Smith on the MicroVision board of directors, and there's Matthew Cole, who's over there now. On the other hand, you've got ZF, which has this relationship of having owned Ibeo, sold it to MicroVision, and is now manufacturing the sensors on behalf of MicroVision. So it'll be very interesting to see how those relationships evolve in this new world. In other news this week, JP Morgan Chase, the largest bank in the United States, has launched their $1.5 trillion Security and Resiliency Initiative to boost critical industries. JP Morgan Chase announced the Security and Resiliency Initiative, a $1.5 trillion 10-year plan to facilitate, finance, and invest in industries critical to national economic security and resiliency. As part of this new initiative, JP Morgan Chase will make direct equity and venture capital investments of up to $10 billion to help select companies, primarily in the United States, enhance their growth, spur innovation, and accelerate strategic manufacturing. JP Morgan Chase has 4 themes for investment that include supply chain and advanced manufacturing, defense and aerospace, energy independence and resilience, and frontier and strategic technologies. Across those 4 themes are 27 sub-areas that they will be targeting. And these sub-areas, specifically within frontier and strategic technologies, includes sensor hardware, devices for capturing and measuring physical inputs, and edge computing, processing data near the source for efficiency. There's a subnote: in some areas, all activity will be included, while in others, only activities that 1. Localize manufacturing in the U.S., or 2. Have U.S. government support, for example, contract, co-investment, offtake, will be considered. Interestingly, JP Morgan Chase reports the 40th largest institutional investment within MicroVision, a position of 136,739 shares as of a June 30th, 2025 reporting date, recently increased by 22,824 shares from the prior reporting period. This is probably some form of response to the Trump administration's direct equity investment in a variety of critical infrastructure type of technologies, rare metals, and things of this nature. JP Morgan wants to be positioned as the company that's helping the United States government facilitate these types of equity transactions and be the America First banker. So it's a different type of business development than we might have imagined. It takes place elsewhere within MicroVision, where you're making a B2B sale and you're showing how your sensor adds value to their larger product or solution. In this case, the question is, how does the sensor and the technology add value to the United States government and the national security? And so you're not just pitching a product to a company in the hopes that there's a mutual benefit, but instead this is critical to the ongoing national security of the United States of America. Hopefully it's somebody's job within MicroVision to see this news about JP Morgan, or maybe to have heard about it directly, and to engage with them and make the sale. Because they're standing there saying, I got a $10 billion bucket full of money, and I want sensor hardware investment opportunities to benefit the United States. And if it was me, I'd be beating down their door with all of the value and the rationale about MicroVision's capabilities in the space. Thanks everybody for checking out laserroasted.com for the freshest coffee and the most delicious jerky anywhere on earth. Here's an article that might blow your hair back. Ousted Luminar CEO Austin Russell wants to buy the company. Austin Russell, the billionaire founder of Luminar, has made a bid to acquire the LiDAR maker 5 months after he was replaced as CEO following an ethics inquiry. The takeover effort was disclosed in an SEC filing by Russell earlier Friday morning. It would involve his new company, Russell AI Labs, purchasing 100% of the outstanding shares of Luminar's Class A common stock for an undisclosed price. If it happens, Luminar would remain publicly traded, and Russell AI Labs may acquire a different, larger global automotive technology company and merge it with Luminar to create a unified technology platform business, Luminar 2.0, according to the filing. If that happens, Russell himself may also invest in the newly combined company. The proposal was made on October 14th at the suggestion of certain shareholders of Luminar and the invitation of certain members of the board, though the filing does not name names. Some of those board members approached Russell about the idea in September, according to a source familiar with the negotiations, who is granted anonymity to speak about them. Luminar and Russell AI Labs did not immediately respond to a request for comment. The proposed acquisition is just as sudden and surprising as Russell's replacement in May. Luminar announced Russell's resignation on May 19th, the same day that the company reported its first quarter earnings. The company tapped former Xerox executive Paul Ricci to take over. The company offered no details about why Russell was out, aside from saying the board's audit committee had conducted a Code of Business Conduct and Ethics inquiry. Luminar has yet to explain what the inquiry found. It has been sued by shareholders multiple times over the move and the way it was disclosed. That said, Russell is no stranger to takeover attempts. In 2023, he launched a bid to buy Forbes, but that ultimately failed after some of the investors in the acquisition reportedly didn't follow through. The bid process was also marred by an alleged connection to a Russian oligarch. Russell has remained on Luminar's board and was supposed to be available to the incoming chief executive officer on transition and technology matters, according to the release. But he's been absent in at least one way by failing to have signed, in his capacity as a board member, any of the company's filings with the SEC since being replaced. In the meantime, Russell co-founded Russell AI Labs in September, along with Marcus Schaefer, CTO and board member of Mercedes-Benz Group AG, and Murtaza Ahmed, a former partner at the SoftBank Vision Fund. The new company claims it backs and builds transformative AI and frontier technology companies and has already taken a $300 million stake in agentic AI company Immerse. What a setup. He gets fired as the CEO of the company by the board of directors after an ethics inquiry that nobody knows what they found in the ethics inquiry. He stays on the board even though he's got some kind of compromising ethics situation. And then some board members come to him and say, buy out the stock of the company. Take us over, please. I mean, who could believe it?
That isn't very reassuring.
Okay, we titled this one Rise of the Robots, and we're halfway through the show, and we haven't even talked about robots. But let's go through a little bit of news in the robotics space and see how it might pertain to MicroVision. Here's an article that came out this week. Optimus robot heading for mass production. Tesla orders $685 million in parts. Tesla has reportedly placed a massive $685 million order with Sanhua Intelligent Controls, a Chinese supplier, for Optimus robot components, specifically linear actuators. It's believed that this order is enough to produce around 180,000 Optimus humanoid robots, marking a major step towards mass production. Deliveries of these components are expected to begin in the first quarter of 2026. Signaling that Tesla is accelerating preparations for large-scale production of its highly anticipated humanoid robot.
Hey Optimus, what are you doing there?
Just chilling, ready to help.
Hey Optimus, do you know where I can get a Coke?
Sorry, I don't have real-time info, but I can take you to the kitchen if you want to check for a Coke there.
Oh yeah,
Let
that'd
me
be
know if you
great.
should go.
Yes, let's do that. Let's go.
Awesome. Let's head to the kitchen.
Okay.
Okay, go.
I think we need to give it a bit more room. Right now it's kind of paranoid about space. It'll be able to walk a lot faster too.
Meanwhile, Tesla competitor Figure, an American robotics company, put out this promotional video for their new humanoid robot called the Figure 3. I'm going to replace the music that came with the video with my own. I get kind of emotional watching that, especially the scene where the robot plays with the dog. It's hard to know what to think. Where is this heading? I don't even know. But maybe we can at least sell some LiDAR sensors into this market. Here's an article from market research firm ID Tech X. Humanoid robots to have a 14-fold market expansion in 5 years. Humanoid robots, widely perceived as embodied AI, are projected to grow rapidly over the next 10 years. This surge is fueled by major players like Tesla and BYD, who plan to expand humanoid deployment in their factories more than tenfold between 2025 and 2026, aiming for over 25% cost reduction per humanoid robot. So long, human workers. With 2025 seen as the industry's takeoff year, ID Tech X anticipates the market for humanoid robot sensory components, including LiDAR encoders, torque sensors, 6-axis sensors, IMUs, MEMS sensors, and cameras, to reach approximately $10 billion within 10 years. This growth presents major opportunities for component suppliers, as sensors are essential to the functionality of humanoid robots, serving a wide range of purposes. They enable navigation and object detection, for example, LiDAR and cameras, force control, for example, torque and tactile sensors, and position and stability management. LiDAR and cameras are two essential sensory technologies that enable humanoid robots to perform navigation, collision avoidance, and object detection. As of 2025, most humanoid robots use a combination of LiDAR and cameras, with Tesla's Optimus being a notable exception, relying solely on cameras. The integration of both technologies is largely driven by the growing complexity of the environments these robots must navigate. Vision alone often falls short in addressing real-world applications' unpredictable and dynamic conditions. Who'd have thunk? According to Hesai, a leading LiDAR supplier, vision-based systems may be adequate in controlled environments like production lines, where tasks and lighting conditions are stable. However, humanoid robots are increasingly expected to operate in diverse and unstructured settings, interacting with people, adapting to changing light levels, and navigating physically complex spaces. In scenarios with bright sunlight, low light, or rapidly shifting conditions, camera-only systems can struggle with reliability and raise safety concerns in human-robot interactions. LiDAR offers crucial complementary capabilities. It enables precise path planning, real-time 3D environmental mapping, and reliable obstacle detection, even in poorly lit environments. These features are essential for humanoids performing tasks like placing objects into confined spaces, avoiding unexpected obstacles in dim conditions, or navigating areas where lighting is limited, such as after factory hours. In high-risk settings like mining or tunnel exploration, LiDAR further enhances safety and accuracy, allowing robots to scan and navigate hazardous terrain with confidence. For LiDAR and cameras, the evolving requirement for full 360-degree spatial awareness in humanoids will influence future design trends. Unlike autonomous vehicles, which typically rely on long-range forward-facing LiDAR for lane detection and obstacle avoidance, humanoid robots must operate in diverse environments that require comprehensive spatial coverage. As a result, next-generation LiDAR systems will likely prioritize wide field-of-view designs with minimal blind spots, especially suited for indoor applications, where precise, all-directional awareness is critical and operational speeds are lower. Now, where can we find a 180-degree solid-state LiDAR sensor? Now, while this is all totally fascinating, the actual robotics market that the company has talked about, the company MicroVision has talked about serving, is automated mobile robots in factories and other types of industrial settings, as well as automated ground vehicles and things like that in defense settings. Additionally, they've talked about cobots, which are like the robotic arm that helps the human being, do their work. They pick the object and place it over to the human being so they can do whatever they want. So you can think of it as, some kind of robot assistance rather than the robot doing the job. The robot helps you do your job. So between AMRs and AGVs and cobots, there's plenty of robots for the market right now while we wait for humanoid robots to take over and we'll have C-3PO everywhere. Here's a quick look at the top AMR and AGV OEMs and integrators, including Daifuku in Japan, Dematic or Kion Group, Honeywell Intelligrated, Vanderlande, NAP, SSI Schaefer Group, and Murata Machinery. Here, I'll move my little guy off the screen here. Basically, these companies manufacture the automated mobile robots and automated ground vehicles, and presumably would be looking for ways to make them better, faster, cheaper, smarter, all of which MicroVision could provide. So if you're looking for some kind of unit volume to base your forecasts on, here's something. Global robot demand in factories doubles over 10 years. World Robotics 2025 report by International Federation of Robotics released. This was the end of September. The new World Robotics 2025 statistics on industrial robots showed 542,000 robots installed in 2024, more than double the number 10 years ago. Annual installations topped 500,000 units for the fourth straight year. Asia accounted for 74% of new deployments in 2024, compared with 16% in Europe and 9% in the Americas. Here's another one to send to the administration. Global robots are being installed in Asia and Europe faster than here. Now, of course, we want our people to have jobs and work in factories, but we also don't want to get output by Asia and Europe. So it's a kind of interesting dynamic. The new World Robotics statistics showed 2024 the second highest annual installation count of industrial robots in history, only 2% lower than the all-time high 2 years ago. The transition of many industries into the digital and automated age has been marked by a huge surge in demand. The total number of industrial robots in operational use worldwide was 4.6 million units in 2024, an increase of 9% compared to the previous year. All right, so if we have 500,000 global factory robots being deployed every single year, and they're growing at 9%, then you get a ramp that looks like you see here. Factory robots from 500,000 up to 700,000 in 2028. So the question, obviously, that's relevant to us is what is the penetration rate MicroVision could hope to achieve, providing wide field of view solid-state LiDAR systems into this market? Well, we don't know, but we can model things. And if we model 1 out of every 100 automated mobile robot that's deployed has a MicroVision sensor and it costs $500, then by next year, they could get about $3 million in revenue for 1 out of every 100 factory robots. Now, if they do a little better the following year and get 1.5%, keep the ASP at $500, now you're at $4.8 million in revenue. If they can get to 2% penetration by 2028, now you are at $7 million in revenue from one segment in the robotics industry. Now, the problem for MicroVision is that the penetration rate has been too low for too long, but maybe that could change. So the reason to have some degree of confidence that that situation could change is that now MicroVision has a very small, very wide field of view, and potentially very low cost LiDAR sensor solution, of course based on the Valeo technology, that they can go and serve into this market. So you've got a unit with a 180-degree scan angle. I mean, that's everything. Basically everything in front of you can be seen by this sensor. If you're trying to pick something up, or you're trying to figure out if you're going to bump into the wall, it will tell you, and it can be integrated into the robot's control system in the exact same way we would think of for an automated vehicle. But now you have an automated robot, and the robot uses the sensor to orient itself in 3D space, understand there's an object around it, prevent itself from walking off the edge of a building, whatever. So now that we have new leadership that's had success generating revenue on the order of billions of dollars, maybe we'll see a new dynamic where our sales efforts will be more successful. We have a new product, we have new leadership, and maybe we'll have a new approach to the market that could be more successful. What we do know is that there's a significant tailwind of inexorable market force behind robotics, behind autonomy, and the demand for sensing solutions for robots is obviously going to be tremendously large. So hopefully MicroVision can position themselves as the provider of choice for the sensing capability, especially when you combine it with the perception software that understands the scene, then can be integrated into the control unit of the device itself. All this stuff seems to suggest that brighter days are ahead, but we'll see. I think that's going to do it for this one. Thanks so much for hanging with me. Please do like, subscribe, add a comment. Check out laserroasted.com for the very freshest coffee that money can buy. I appreciate it a great deal, and it helps keep the show going. So thanks again, and we'll see you next time.